Hello, everybody. Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest. Had to go live today. Had to come out here and go live because we have a ton of new updates to discuss regarding this Toronto Raptors team. It has been absolutely wild. It has been absolutely mad. Everything that's been going on over the past couple days with this Toronto Raptors team. We got some news. We got some stuff finally to sink our teeth into heading into the off season here right now, and want to go live. Trying to go live a lot more this summer, so appreciate everyone tuning in out here to the live stream. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you're on your way in, hit that like spike. We're going to get a lot of stuff going. You can see the live sub count out there in the corner as well. Trying to clean up the live setup so I become less washed out here on these streams. But let's jump into it, because I'm sure a lot of people have been scrolling through Twitter, have been checking everything out day by day, and frankly, seeing all of the latest Toronto Raptors news, seeing everything that's been on the go with this Toronto Raptors team. And the big report that really had some people excited, that had some people amped up, starts with this update from Brian Windhorst, who came out and said, I don't want to get too far afield from this, but since this has come up, the Toronto Raptors are a team that is starting to make some noise within the league about looking for a big fish. So this is the first thing that really came out over the past few days that had a lot of Raptors fans excited, because of course, a big fish, we know, Masai Ujiri, he's always home run swinging, always trying to get those top dogs, those top players to join this Toronto Raptors team. And frankly, he's done in the past. Regardless of, the trades have gone through or not, Masai's always on the phones, always trying to get the calls, seeing what new things are out there on the go for this Toronto Raptors squad. And there are a lot of names getting tossed around, getting brought up out here in these trade discussions as of late. So we are going to bring them all up out here in this stream, in this video. You know, people bring up the song, what's happening, buddy Terrifico, saying gutting our team won't get us a championship. That's valid, and we're going to bring up all of those things here. But the first name that I want to get your opinions on, I want to see the takes, I want to see how people catch the pulse of the fan base here right now, out here in the chat with what people are discussing, Giannis Antetokounmpo, because we have a bunch of new updates, a bunch of new things to discuss regarding Giannis, regarding everything that's going on with this situation. So let's dive into all of the updates, to everything that's been going on here. So basically, this is the report. Briefly bring up some of these that we've discussed in recent videos, but this is coming from Doug Smith of the Toronto Star. I don't know if it will happen, but I do know there is mutual interest between Antetokounmpo and the Toronto Raptors. The wild card is the cost. So this is one of the reports that came out and really took the NBA world by storm, took the NBA world on fire, and got a lot of people excited, because over the past month, our eyes have been glued to Giannis Antetokounmpo trade updates. I'm bringing it back. I've brought it up out here. I've uncovered, and let me know if you guys like these animations. I used to cook up a lot more of these back in the day, but the old Giannis watch, I had to get rid of the audio. It's got copyrighted out there over the past 7 years, but Masai Ujiri has been on Giannis watch for years here now at this point, and now Giannis is he's back on the dick, and he's back into the mix, because immediately, so full context for everything that's been going on with this Giannis Antetokounmpo situation. So the Milwaukee Bucks, again, have been bad in terms of playoff success, playoff performance over the past few seasons. They went out and they acquired Damian Lillard to be that spark plug, to be that guy that's going to ignite that Milwaukee Bucks offense to the next level so they can get back and win another NBA championship. But it has not worked out with Damian Lillard. They haven't been able to get past the first round, and then to a dire effect to Bucks fans and everyone in the NBA, because it sucks to see, and Damian Lillard's an exciting guy to watch, but Damian Lillard tears his Achilles in the final game of the season, or one of the final games for the Milwaukee Bucks, and then came out and, the Bucks don't have a ton of rosters. They also made a move at this year's trade deadline, dealing away A.J. Johnson, who is a young prospect for them that actually has had some promising moments. It was a weird selection for them just because of he seemed like a project type of player rather than a win-now guy, and the Milwaukee Bucks certainly are in win-now mode when they have Giannis Antetokounmpo in the mix, but they went out and traded draft picks, Chris Middleton, and their young prospect for Kyle Kuzma, who We've heard about the Kyle Kuzma trade reports. We've heard about the Kyle Kuzma trade analysis for years at this point with the Toronto Raptors, and that was an absolute disaster class. That was an absolute, I'm throwing some W's in the chat for Masai Ujiri. Masai Ujiri's cooking, avoiding those Kyle Kuzma trades, because that was an absolutely devastating move for the future of the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. And, looking at their roster, Damian Lillard going to next season, torn Achilles. Kyle Kuzma looking like all the Instagram memes that have been thrown his way in jest based off of how poorly he's been playing. Brook Lopez is old. He's also a free agent, so we'll see what actually happens out there in that front. So all of these things are being taken into account, and the Milwaukee Bucks are basically a disaster class here now at this point. They haven't been able to win the past 3 years, and Giannis has that sort of... If Giannis is ever going to demand a trade, it will be this offseason. Then reports came out from Shams Charania revealing that for the first time in Giannis' tenure, he's open about the idea of leaving Milwaukee. So that's that. Now, I've seen a bunch of pictures of him wearing a Milwaukee Bucks jacket and stuff. Then a report came out from Chris Haynes that there's going to be a very important meeting about Giannis' future there with the Milwaukee Bucks and things out there along those lines. So that's the main discussions. That's the discourse that has been brought up there. And that's when you get the rumblings. That's when you get, a week or so ago, you get this report from Scoopy saying 2 teams have emerged as destinations of interest for the 2-time MVP, and that's the Toronto Raptors and that's the Brooklyn Nets. So that sort of got people excited. That made it a little bit real there for the Toronto Raptors. Then you see the odds. You see everything change out there for this team, and it's like, oh, wow, this is getting more and more realistic, more and more buzz, more and more chatter. I mean, they, Rich Paul is out here discussing linking the Toronto Raptors to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not Giannis's agent, but a guy that is certainly connected around the NBA in terms of someone that knows, hey, if there's going to be some big fish hunting, that. Then we go back to the report that I brought up at the beginning of this video. Brian Windhorst comes out and says, the Toronto Raptors are coming out. I'll bring it up here once again. The Toronto Raptors are going to be a team making some noise throughout the NBA and, looking for a big fish. So Brian Windhorst comes out and says that. Then Doug Smith drops that report and, gets this going here. So basically, these are the reports. I'm recapping everything. I see the chat. I've been bringing this up. Appreciate everyone watching the vids and checking out all the new news. But basically, then this is where things start to get very, very interesting, because Giannis wants to play in the Eastern Conference. He wants to come out. And then today, we have some developments. We have some stuff because there's been a bunch of different odds thrown out in terms of teams. The other teams that have been out there in the mix for Giannis over the past month, brought up the Golden State Warriors. They seem to be ruled out in regards to a suitor for Giannis. They don't really have a trade package to put together right now. They aren't capable of making those moves happen. So the Spurs are a team that's still legitimately in play if there's some availability. The Rockets have some awesome draft picks, have some pieces to compete with the Toronto Raptors in one of these deals. But today, along with a report coming from Doug Smith, and, people are saying, was that speculative? Was that a sure thing that came from Doug Smith? Essentially, the new news from Doug Smith today was, that, hey, the Raptors are going to be willing to throw Scottie Barnes out there. He'll be the centerpiece of one of these trade packages and stuff like that there. And then, basically, if I have the correct screenshot brought up, the Toronto Raptors are now the favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo, according to this book. Now, the Grizzlies are a team that's getting into the mix here now at this point. Basically, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and the Raptors at this moment in time, and this is coming from the Bet Online AG. I don't know what these sports books are, but the Toronto Raptors are now favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo in terms of a trade here now at this point. So that is, very, very interesting to see the Toronto Raptors make that jump, make that leap in regards to being one of the favorites to land, being the favorite, if he's, of course, not on the Milwaukee Bucks next season, to make that move and get that stuff going. So, folks, we hear some stuff. We hear some things, going on behind the scenes too. I'm not going to bring out, but this Giannis stuff is pretty intriguing. A lot of stuff chatting, a lot of stuff buzzing. The Raptors, just like the Kawhi Leonard situation, where I wrote it off. Riker and myself have been memed to death about how when Kawhi Leonard asked for a trade, he was linked to the Raptors. We're like, okay, we got a shot at landing LaMarcus Aldridge here now at this point. But we ended up getting Kawhi. The bookies, they all had it all there first. But folks, I want to know what you guys think. That's why we're going live here too, and we'll talk about some of these updates, some of these stuff, things that are going on here with the latest updates regarding Giannis Antetokounmpo. But essentially, then we have a lot of other reports to bring up and chatter and buzz regarding the situation and stuff like that there. But Scottie Barnes being brought up as a piece that's going to be involved in these trade discussions. Josh Luenberg came out today as well with a new report, essentially saying that, hey, and I can pull up a little screen grab of this stuff here just so we have that going. I got some stuff prepped. Some stuff is going to be rocking and rolling in different places. But Josh Luenberg gave a very, very in-depth deep dive on the whole situation. So I recommend definitely checking out his article in terms of what he had to say on all of this stuff. But basically, he came out and in his article broke down how it's going to start off with, these trade packages. They won't have Scottie Barnes in them at the very start, but of course, in order to legitimately get one of these deals done, Scottie Barnes would have to be included in these trade discussions. So essentially the quote here, and the screenshot's not working. My on-the-fly tech skills are washed here now at this point for streams, but the new update from Josh Luenberg came out and directly said that, starting off, preliminary trade discussions. Scottie Barnes won't be thrown out there in those deals, won't be thrown out there in those trades, but basically as these talks move forward, Scottie Barnes will have to be involved in these trade talks. So I'm seeing the chat. I've seen our comment section. I've seen a lot of people. And folks, if you're a part of the 300 people in here and you haven't hit the like button on the stream just yet, we got 300 people in here, only 36 likes. Let's get that rocking. If you're not subscribed, hit that button. We'll get that going, that number. We watch that number go up down there. But basically, one thing I want to ask, would you be willing to trade away Scottie Barnes for Giannis Antetokounmpo? Throw a yes in the chat if you'd be willing to make that happen. If you yes, if you'd like to see that happen, no, if you don't want to see that happen. Throw that out there in the chat here right now. I want to see what the chat is saying because, frankly, it's interesting. Like all these kind of discussions, all the discourse that's been going on with these trade discussions, everything that's happening here. So yes, no, spam it in the chat. Do you want to see Scottie Barnes traded? Like, not do you? Of course, we get a package without Scottie Barnes, but would you trade Scottie Barnes straight up for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And it's very split. If we can see this chat, we see what people are saying here now at this point. It is very, very split in terms of what we were saying. We're getting a few more yeses. A few people spamming yes, so we got that going. Some no's, some yes. Someone saying Scottie is washed. That's crazy, but vintage pitch. What's happening? I saw you say a little earlier, but I was in a little rant. But I know you're saying yes on these trade packages for Scottie Barnes. But basically, there's a split with this. There is, and we'll talk the one for one, and then we'll talk about the trade packages that are getting tossed out there in terms of the deals. We're talking James L. We're talking one for one. If you woke up tomorrow morning, I know we'll dive in the nuances, the specifics, all that type of madness. You woke up tomorrow morning and you got a text from your grandmother. You're late to the news, and she says, "Hey, we just traded Scottie Barnes for Giannis." You don't know what else is going on. You don't know what else is in the package. Do you want to see that deal go down? Because Scottie Barnes, about 6-7 years younger. Scottie Barnes already been an all-star. Scottie Barnes is the current face of the Toronto Raptors. And a guy that is a phenomenal passer. A guy that can drive to the rim. His three-point shooting did regress this season. There have been some people, there's people in the camp that absolutely adore, glaze Scottie to death and say, hey, he's the next coming of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and all those types of things. Then you have the people in the camp, he doesn't work hard, he doesn't train, he's not improving, he's not doing any of those. I'm not on either side of that. I'm try to be, I'm a genuine homer. I'm open about it. I'm more homer about RJ Barrett than I am Scottie Barnes. I guess that's something there. But Scottie is without a doubt, he's certainly improved this season as a defender. You cannot come out here and reasonably argue that Scottie Barnes did not improve this season as a defender because he has taken a major leap in that area, and he was already pretty solid out there on that end of the floor. He's already a great facilitator as a big wing out there. He has the athleticism. He has all those things. He's shown flashes of assault, midi, and stuff. And if he can really put things together, he's a guy that's locked in long term. He's been on this group. Scottie Barnes, is a guy that has that star upside. You cannot discuss, you cannot argue, you cannot, fight that fact. His mid-ranger has improved. Yes, the three-point shooting regressed. So the jump shot, I'm looping it in as a whole. But yes, he has improved in those specific areas. But Giannis is an MVP. Giannis has won a championship. Giannis has won a finals MVP. Now, you could argue Scottie could get to that level. He could get to that point. But even the most optimistic Scottie fans, it would be without a doubt, it's tough to become MVP of the NBA. It's just a tough feat. It's tough to be the 1A guy on a championship-winning squad. Even if we are, big fans, even if we, love Scottie, think he's going to be a multi-time All-Star, think he's going to... There's levels to NBA superstardom. There's levels to that. And Giannis has been at the top of that mountain. Is he still there? No. Shea may have eclipsed him this season. Jokic has already eclipsed him, but Giannis has been atop of that mountain and is still in the top 3 of that mountain. There's levels to this. And realistically, it's tough to really argue the fact that it's a realistic thought, it's a reasonable thought, Scottie is going to be at that level. Am I saying it can't happen? No. Am I praying every night that Scottie Barnes gets to that level wearing a Toronto Raptors jersey, coming out, and we can hype up this man as a multi-time MVP? Yes, that's exactly what I am hoping for. But is it realistic to expect that? Is it a reasonable bet if there's a 1-for-1 opportunity on the table where a top 3 player in the NBA is available via trade? If it's available, you have that opportunity to wake up tomorrow and there's a Scottie Barnes for Giannis Antetokounmpo trade on the table. I know there's more years of it. I know the age factor and all that. But you have a guaranteed in your hands, in this hypothetical opportunity, you have that opportunity to acquire a top 3 player in the NBA. It's tough to say no to that. It's tough to say no. If I'm putting my GM hat on, I'm covering up this Macklemore hair that people are talking about out there in the chat. If I'm putting that GM hat on, you say yes to that 1-for-1 deal. You just do. It might be wrong. I love Scottie Barnes. I'm this, that, whatever. I'm happy, but it'd be irresponsible to turn down a trade for Scottie Barnes, or for Giannis Antetokounmpo, Scottie Barnes straight up. Now, where things get a lot more interesting, where things get a lot more, in the real world, because I think any GM is going to accept that deal. Reports have come out that John Horst, the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks, is, quote, looking to gut any team that he makes a trade with. And it should be noted that John Horst, the GM, president, whatever his title is for the Milwaukee Bucks, was just extended of his contract. So they said, hey, don't feel as if you don't have leverage in this situation. Because a GM, that's in his last year, that's in his own sort of world, in his own sort of, if I don't get this done, if I fumble this trade, if Giannis pouts his way out, then that GM doesn't have any job security. They can get pushed around. They can get bullied. They can get whatever the heck it is, from the superstar player out there in the mix. John Horst was just invested in by the Milwaukee Bucks organization. They just gave him long-term money. He has free reign to do whatever the heck he wants here now at this point. So, news has come out that says he's looking to gut teams in a Giannis trade. And even if Giannis asks out and they don't get the right package back, he'll hold on to him. There's multiple years on Giannis's contract. So, that is a situation that, makes things tougher. So, if we're looking at the deals that are actually going to be on the table, it's not just going to be Scottie Barnes straight up for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, am I mad at people that are big fans of Scottie Barnes that are like, hey, this is crazy, the trade packages are getting thrown? I'm not mad at those people. But if we're going to have serious conversations, discussions about Giannis, these are the types of deals that are going to be made. They're going to have to include Scottie Barnes, and they're going to have to include other pieces. So let's take a look. Let's get cooking. good looking on these trade machines, these trade proposals that are out here. There's one of the big ones that's been brought up, and I don't have it in a clean format here right now, but we'll just drag it in. This is one of the trade proposals that's getting juicy. That's getting thrown out here. We'll make it big so you guys can all see. Throw a like spike if you guys can see that. Okay. On the fly editing, because we cook. This is one deal that is getting tossed around a little bit around the NBA world. Giannis Antetokounmpo coming to the Toronto Raptors in return for Scottie Barnes, Ochai Agbaji, Gradey Dick, the number 9 overall pick in this year's NBA draft, and then first in 27 and 29. Chat, before I sort of rip into this, before I dive into this, what are we thinking? W or L? W or L? Out there in the chat there right now. I want a W or an L. Would you do this trade? Would you do this trade? Throw it out there. We got an in and heartbeat, green light. We got a hard no. F that. Too much. Yes, yes, yes. These are emphatic. Like this is where things get crazy. Because I know our heart of hearts, and I was just like everyone was saying when we traded DeMar. Rationally, like the DeMar DeRozan trade on its surface was a W. It was all pure emotion. So I get some people saying that L for the trades, L for the Scottie, but realistically, Scottie for Giannis straight up, you do that deal. These trades are where you get very, very crazy with it. Because with the news, John Horst looking to gut whatever team he's making a trade for with, they are going to be in bidding wars. The San Antonio Spurs have picks galore. The Rockets have picks galore, and their Suns picks. The Suns are going to be brutal for years to come. That franchise is trash. What are we doing? Are we doing this deal? Because it is split. It is split out there in the chat there right now. It is split with what people are saying. So let's dive into it. We talked about Scottie Barnes. This most recent season averaging close to 27.5, I think. Stats aren't brought up here right now. Elite defender. Rising star in the NBA. Ochai Agbaji. A 3-and-D player that, frankly, is on one of the most reasonable contracts in the entire NBA. He does everything out there on the court. He's a role player. Like, Ochai Agbaji has trade value around the league. Gradey Dick, who, you know what? I'm bringing up the stats of these folks. Because Gradey Dick was injured at the end of last season. I don't think people understand how good of a year Gradey Dick had last season because he had the cold finish to it. I don't think people understand how good Gradey Dick was over the course of this year. Because he was good. And he took a solid jump. That's per 36. We're bringing up the wrong stuff. Basketball Reference is slowing down my computer, so we're gonna use the regular bio stuff. I need my Raptors Digest bots to work a little bit quicker. But okay. Gradey Dick. This season, because I think people forgot how good Gradey Dick was. All right? Gradey Dick. 14.4 points per game, 35% from the three-point line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 85% from the field. But Gradey Dick was a scorer for this team. The start of the season was really, really solid for this squad. Really, really solid for this squad. So that's a thing to factor in. Like, Gradey Dick is a good basketball player. Like, frankly, if I'm in here, there's debates with Jacoby Walter anyway. So, but your Scottie Barnes, 2 prospects, the number 9 overall selection, and this is one thing that needs to be discussed. Because if the number 9 pick is in this draft, I know everyone's like, oh, superstar, 8 picks. The thought process behind that, and generally what those picks end up being, and you see it in these hauls, because, with the exception of the Suns picks, usually those picks are really bad. Like, they end up being in the, the 15 plus, 20 plus, like late in the first round. And yes, you got 5 picks, but they're picks that aren't in that situation. My camera's gonna reload here, but they're not picks. They're not draft picks that are that valuable for your team. But with this draft pick that's thrown out here in these trade discussions, that's thrown out here in this whole situation, is this draft pick we know is a top 9 selection in an absolutely elite NBA draft. Absolutely elite. So you have to factor that in. And then 27, 29 on top of it. 2 firsts just disappeared like that. That's a lot. In a vacuum, that is a lot. That is a lot to give up. That is a lot to bring up. That is a lot to deal with. And then Mavs Digest out here. Marcel, a guy that's a legend on these live streams on Raptors Digest, who switched up on us for Cooper Flagg, who switched up on us and saying he's going to leave like Kawhi. That's tough. So in a vacuum, that is a heist for the Bucks. In a vacuum, that is a heist for the Bucks. I'm stating that here. The Bucks, they got away with a lot if this deal ends up happening. But does it even matter? That's what I want to say to you folks. Anyone that's saying they hate the trade, like a trade like this, you are 100% right to hate that trade. It's like, you're out there at the mall, and there's a phone case that you really like. You see in the window every time you go to the movies or something. You see this phone case, but it's like $200. It's like that's a finesse. That's just whatever. But you see it every day. You look at it and you're like, I use my phone all the time. I'm touching it. I'm looking at it and stuff. You just want it. And it'll make your life better. So even though you got finessed out of 200, but you buy that phone case and you're just like, wow. Now every time I look at life is great. It's good. And the Raptors have a surplus of talent. I am the biggest, most delusional, most whatever the heck you want to call it. I am fully of the belief Jamal Shead will become an all-star caliber player. The real takes come out here on stream. I don't bet. I don't sports gamble. I don't do anything like that. And Jack Silver saying, like the stream. Appreciate you, Jack. Appreciate you. All the nice comments. Jack's always leaving nice comments. Throw a like for Jack. Like his comments. Like Spike out there from Marcel. But I don't sports gamble. I don't do anything. I don't do that. I played enough 2K as a child to know that if I sports bet, I'd be out a lot of money. The VC packs, they ruined me as a kid. So I know what's going on with that. But I make a friendly bet with my friends every now and then. And one of my buddies, it's a bet that lasts 20 years. It's paying out either 20 years for him or the day that Jamal Shead becomes an all-star. Because I'm convinced Jamal Shead's going to become an all-star. Let me know if that's a W or an L take out there in the comment section. Because I want to know. I want to know what people have to say. I want to know what people have to discuss. Because I digress. That was a large tangent. To basically say, we buy that phone case. We get ripped off. We get scammed. We get bamboozled. But then you have the phone. The money's money. If you got money, right? Like if you're out there balling, you got scammed on a phone case. It's like, I got the phone case now, and I still have a bunch of money. The Raptors would still have a lot of money left over after this trade. You have IQ, who I know people are down on, but an elite three-point shooting point guard that can facilitate, that frankly last season hasn't had that opportunity. He was dealing with injuries left, right, and center, and dealing with a team that was overtly tanking. You have RJ Barrett. The player I'd argue was our best player last season. What was it, 22, 6, and 5? 24 years old? You run him at the 2. You just acquired the smoothest, the silkiest, the absolute just slitheriest player. Slitheriest player is crazy. Is a crazy thing to bring up. But Brandon Ingram, you bring in the smoothest bucket getter out there in the league. You bring in Brandon Ingram. He's out there on your team right now. You get Giannis. Giannis is out there on the squad. Giannis is out there on the team after you buy that phone case, after you get that acquisition, after you get that move. And you still have Jakob Poeltl, who I will stand on. I have hope. I have hopes and dreams. After that one game, like the 10th last game of the season where Jakob Poeltl took a corner 3 with 5 seconds into the shot clock, I believe. And before I do my take, shout out, I'm a wash streamer, so I'm slow at this, but Jack, I appreciate you. All the nice comments. You're the man, Jack. Throw the likes to Jack. I should be super chatting you. The nice comments you're throwing in. Appreciate the super chat as always. But shout out to Jack. Appreciate you. I appreciate you, Jack, more than Giannis if he's on this team. But going back to that spiel. If Jakob Poeltl gets a 3-point shot, Jakob Poeltl might be a top 10 center right now as is. Jakob Poeltl gets a 3-point shot. We are having some difficult discussions with fan bases of other teams. Because that man is a rim protector. That man can finish around the rim very, very well. Obviously not like a lob threat, but has that nice touch around the basket. You look at Jakob Poeltl's stats. That dude was nasty. I mean, if we are going straight up, and I know there's a lot of people that love this trade, that hate this trade, that do whatever. Is Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jakob Poeltl the best starting 5 in the NBA? Yes or no? Yes or no? Let me know. Yes or no? Throw a yes or a no out there in the chat. W or L, take. Especially with Tatum injured. Stinky Pinky on the way out. Celtics aren't there. The Cavs are in disarray. I mean, the Thunder are great, of course, but I'm seeing some no's. Best in the East. We got some chip emojis out there. We got some yeses sneaking in. I'm standing on that. That's the best starting lineup in the NBA. People are sleeping on how good Giannis Antetokounmpo is, and people are sleeping on how good RJ Barrett is. That's one thing that sickens me. From our fan base, from fan base across the league, RJ Barrett is the most slept on player in the entire NBA. The Bucks won a championship. Again, Drew Holiday's phenomenal. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. I look at our starting lineup. IQ, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram. People don't know how good Brandon Ingram is at basketball. Giannis and Poeltl? That is filthy. That is nasty. No one is scoring. No one is stopping that team. Then off the bench, you have Shead. You have an absolute madman on defense. He's developing a 3-point shot that's a leader. You have Jacoby Walter or Gradey Dick, one or the other, that's kept on this team. Developing both guys, could be 15-point per game scorers off the bench. Like, you bring back a Chris Boucher. You have Jonathan Mobo. You have Oler Shamshe. You have Jamison Battle. You have players. Out here on this team. You have legitimate players out there on this team. Again, it will take some development. We got Kobe in the chat saying, okay, but our bench will need development. Don't get me wrong. But the same way When we trade away tomorrow, oh, what's the scoring? What's scoring's going to... Pascal Siakam became an all-star with an elevated role. You're telling me Shead can't take that leap? Jacoby Walter can't take that leap? Some second-round pick that we're taking this year can't take that leap? Or some of these players that are out here in free agency, if we deplete the roster, we could pick up guys. We could pick up players. There's roster spots open. Masai Ujiri's best skill is talent evaluation, scouting out the random gems in the diamonds in the rough. Maybe we should take a look at those, because there's been a lot of links to different players out here in the mix. But keeping that like spike, because we have a lot of stuff we could take a look at. So, of course, the Giannis odds. Raptors are favorites of the Giannis odds. Went through a lot of stuff. A lot of things. A lot of stuff happening. But there are a lot of pieces of news to break down. And these odds I found very interesting. But I'm gonna jump into a different avenue, because I discussed this in a recent video. He wasn't in the thumbnail, so I feel like a lot of people didn't catch it, because I know the average view durations on these videos and stuff. People aren't tuning in. But make sure you subscribe and watch the videos, so you get that stuff rocket, because we want you to stay up to date with everything that's going on. But the Lakers right now are favored for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but the Raptors are on the list. Now, right now, as currently constructed, everything that's going on with RJ Barrett, with Jacoby Walter, with Gradey Dick, with Ochai Agbaji, giving up the money needed to bring in Nickeil Alexander-Walker doesn't make a ton of sense here right now. It just doesn't. Sucks to say. I love him as a basketball player, elite defender. Doesn't make a ton of sense. But if we're getting into the nitty gritty, if we trade away two of Jacoby Walter, Gradey Dick, Ochai Agbaji, this man was just one of the most elite on-ball defenders in the conference finals. Like, that is a player that you want out there in the mix. And shout out to Mazio saying, going to change Taste of the Danford to Giannis Fest. I have no idea what that means, but I appreciate the super chat. I might be a boomer. I'm a wash streamer. But I appreciate the super chat. I love you too, Jack. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Firstly, assuming no Giannis trade, assuming nothing of that sort here right now. Yes, no, W or L, would you want to see Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a Raptors uniform next year? Roster as constructed, as currently built, as currently looked at. Yes, no, would you want to see Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there in that front? Yes or no? Ben is from Sackville, Nova Scotia. What do you expect? I ain't from Sackville. I'm from St. John's, baby. No Giannis. Thanks. To Danforth, same time. I don't know where Danforth is. My geography is tough. About the Greek town in Toronto. I've spent more time in Toronto recently. But I'm not as up to date. I need to be educated. That's why we need these streams here. We need more people out here in the chat so I can get more educated on stuff that's going on. But I'm seeing some no's. People don't want Nickeil Alexander-Walker out here in the mix. But if we trade for Giannis and we give up two of those guys, and we get Nickeil Alexander-Walker for $15 million a year, yes? Yes or no? Throw it in there, chat. I think it's the perfect fit. If one of these blockbuster trades end up going down, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is probably the perfect fit. He's shooting like 45% on corner threes this season. The dude is just an absolute monster. It's just a food festival they hold in Toronto in the Danforth area. Okay, nice. Man, I love it. But how are we feeling? Nickeil not worth it. Probably have to give up Walker to acquire him. He's a free agent. So that's the thing about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He is a free agent. So he's a guy that you can sign, that you can bring in. Now, I agree. Do not trade RJ Barrett. Do not trade RJ Barrett. Okay. So Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a piece that I think needed to be brought up, needed to be discussed, needed to be yapped about. But I think he should be good. As a Canadian, as a guy that can really come into the mix and be good on this team. But there are a few other names that are getting tossed out as role players, the Raptors could pick up. Jackson Hayes is an interesting piece. Backup big men are someone that's going to come by. Common Malawatch, I have a video recorded for him tomorrow. New news keeps coming out, so it's been chambered for a little bit, but I think it's coming out tomorrow morning. Common Malawatch might be a top 3 draft pick this year, so he might not fall to us at number 9. Ulrich Shamshay is very much an unknown, so getting a backup big man would be very valuable for this team. The Raptors are among the favorites to land Jackson Hayes, the rim-protecting center from the LA Lakers, this offseason. Would you want to see Jackson Hayes out there in the mix? He does have that history. We're talking now on the basketball court. On the basketball court. Yes, no. People don't seem that interested in Jackson Hayes. It's a null. It's a null point. People aren't commenting, or else my basement's getting laggy. Would you rather trade RJ or Scottie or RJ and Quickley in one trade? Probably RJ. That's tough. It's probably RJ Quickley, just in terms of pure trade value. People don't want Jackson Hayes. That's Mobo's better playing forward. That's where people are going. That's what people are saying out there on that front. Appreciate you, Jack. Getting some love from Jacks out there. Jack Percy. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But people aren't happy with Jackson Hayes. So we'll move on. We'll move on to different endeavors. So I took a lot of screenshots before I came out here on this, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker's brought up Trey Murphy III. Lots of teams listed out here. Apparently there are no situations, no places, no teams that are specifically that interested in trading away, or the Pelicans have no one on the roster that are untradeable. So, what are we thinking on this? We got this looking janky out here, so I'm gonna hide that. Are we gonna do some live stuff, some live working out here on the channel? The bass bar is busted. Some live editing. I'm a wash streamer, guys. I'm a wash streamer. I don't know what the heck is on the go with this here right now. But it's disappointing me. I don't know what happened, but we'll leave it. We'll make it look like this for now. Would you want to see Trey Murphy III traded for? That is a piece, that is a player that could be very, very interesting for this team. Would you want to see Trey Murphy on the Toronto Raptors? 3-point shooter, 3-and-D guy. Especially if we trade for Giannis. I mean, the Pelicans could be one of those multi-team teams that are in a Giannis trade because they have so many Milwaukee Bucks picks. An interesting guy, an interesting name to be brought up. This isn't worth a full video because I don't know what those odds convert to, but it's not that high. It's not that high, but it's a situation. It's something interesting we can take a look at. There are a few names here that I'm going to end the video with this, but some names that I've been forced to bring up. Kevin Durant. Phoenix is in aggressive pursuit right now of trading Kevin Durant away and regaining full control of their draft capital, starting with the number 10 overall pick in next month's draft. Team sources have said, since the conclusion of the season, Houston has fielded several calls from Phoenix, who have gradually since lowered their asking price for Kevin Durant, those sources have said. There's a price where the Rockets would be interested with the fear of breaking up their roster. 36-year-old coming off an injury, doubt remains over the deal materializing. So the Rockets have the Suns picks. But starting with that number 10 overall pick in this year's NBA draft, the Raptors have the number 9 pick. So you could look at that and be like, hey, you get something better. Should we even, think about getting involved in the Giannis sweepstakes? Does it make sense? Is it something that this team should really go down the avenue? Does it make sense? I'll let the chat catch up. Phoenix is asking what happened to Riker. No wild Riker comments lately. Riker is an accountant now out there in BC. Living life. Riker is well. But he hasn't watched the Raptors in 3 years. So he doesn't want to be on the channel. We get that stuff going. Love Giannis, the Giannis watch animations. Keep them coming. We get that rocking. No Giannis, no Durant, no Sabonis. The Giannis we brought up, but no Durant. People are saying yes. People are interested in Kevin Durant. The asking price is lowering. The Suns have been very, very interested in getting move done, but their asking price has just been absolutely ludicrous. So it's interesting. I don't imagine, the Raptors are big fish hunting, as we brought up. The Raptors are big fish hunting, but whether or not a deal makes sense, we'll see. We'll see what happens out there on that avenue. Ben bullied Riker out of the channel. I was watching some old Raptors Digest back in the day. We used to have some good fun. Good fun. We live in BC on a boat. Let's go. I love it. Other side of the country. I live in Newfoundland on a boat. Not actually, but I do live in Newfoundland. So there's that. This got sent to me a couple times, so I'm not making a whole video out of this, but because of all the off the court stuff. We're talking off the court issues. Zion Williamson's trade value right now is limited to bad contracts and no draft picks. I won't read through this whole thing, but basically, there's some off the court stuff going on with Zion Williamson that has absolutely decimated his trade value. So, anyone want to see Zion Williamson? The Raptors take a flyer on Zion. He's good at basketball when he's healthy, but he's always hurt. There's weird stuff coming out. It's. I'm saying no to Zion here now at this point with his salary, with everything that's going out. So we'll skip that. And this one's even more interesting. Karl Anthony Towns. I got a full video coming on this tomorrow, but the Raptors have some odds to land Karl Anthony Towns via trade. Apparently, the New York Knicks were frustrated with Karl Anthony Towns and his performance, his development, his him, how he's doing with this team. So that is one thing that people are looking at. They might actually trade Karl Anthony Towns. They might get that move going. Do we want to see Karl Anthony Towns out there on the Toronto Raptors? Big fish hunting. He's a big fish. The Zesty Cat memes are great. Do we want to see Cat out there on the Toronto Raptors? He was good in the playoffs. This man was good in the playoffs. Cat and BI, I mean, two of those guys are going to be offensive buckets for this team. I mean, if you keep Poeltl, you have rim protection there. He shoots threes. He was good in the playoffs. I don't get why he was the one scapegoated by the New York Knicks. They just fired their coach. The two guys, they had a prepped article out there in The Athletic. It came out basically with 3 minutes left in the final game, it felt like. They had an article ready to go. That was a hit piece on Karl Anthony Towns and a hit piece on Tom Thibodeau. They might actually trade this man. So, I don't think the lights got too bright. He played well. Karl Anthony Towns played well. He's a bit not good on defense. Bit not good is crazy. But offensively, that dude's a bucket. He knocks down threes, and he played really well. I'll stand on that. We get Karl Anthony Towns, I could be pretty happy. I'd be pretty happy with stuff that's going on. We got some people subscribing too. I appreciate everyone watching that number go up. So we're getting that stuff going there. So the Raptors are in the mix. They're in the odds. However those things are calculated. They're in the mix. Out there for Cat got Tibbs fired twice is crazy. That's because they played together. They were in Minnesota together too. Cat was a defensive liability in the playoffs, but he was a bucket. The Raptors can run some fun defensive schemes to make things more and more interesting. So that is something to look at, to keep in mind, to discuss with things that are going on there. But that's Karl-Anthony Towns. The final name, the final list, the final thing we're gonna look at out here on this stream. This giant list here. With the Raptors looking for a big fish, there are a bunch of names thrown out here at this point. The first one's Domantas Sabonis, who was essentially shut down by Doug Smith out there in an interview with some guys down at Sacramento Kings. I wouldn't mind in a vacuum Sabonis on the squad, but he's a much worse defender than Jakob Poeltl. He's more expensive than Jakob Poeltl, but he would space the floor. He'd be an offensive addition, but a deficient player out there on the defensive end. So there's that. Of course, Giannis in the mix. You have your Levines, you have your DeRozans being brought up. You have Drew Holiday being brought up. Out of those wings there, Levine, DeMar, and Drew Holiday. Who's the chat feeling? How are we feeling out there? Who do you want to see out there in the mix in one of these deals? Jaren Jackson Jr., he's down at the bottom. KD is there, but Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Zach LaVine is a sneaky good offensive player. Like, he is a really elite shooter. Now, he's very expensive, and he's a guy that is hurt a lot. He is hurt a lot. Some names to look at that I'm not that excited by. Triple J would be cool. Like, D-Book would be cool. Job would be cool. Of course, Jokic would be phenomenal. My dad was just watching a Serbian. He sent me a video of a Serbian Toronto community channel, something. He's like, we're going to get Jokic. Jokic is more of a long-term vision. I don't think the Nuggets are going to trade him anytime soon. But, I don't know. Nothing on this list like blows me away, but we'll see what actually comes of this big fish hunt. This big fish. I'm gonna make an animation. Masai Ujiri hunting for big fish. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at with this stuff here. That's where we're at with this stuff here rocking. We got a subscriber there. Appreciate everyone hitting the sub button. 38,000 is very much in sight. Let's see if we can get that before the NBA draft. But let me know, folks. I'm trying to become less of a wash streamer. My bass bar disappeared. Audio's here. I'll look at the camera more as I'm reading the chat. I'm producing all this as we're going live. But let me know if you want to see more of these streams. If I get back, I used to do this pretty well after every game. After every game, used to come out there and yap for an hour about all these games. So let me know yes or no in the chat before we buckle things down. And if you would like to see, if you'd like to see more streams, because I can make that happen. I can make that happen. But the draft is very interesting. We got some vids coming tomorrow. A full detail on Karl-Anthony Towns, full detail on the what's happening with Common Malwatch. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Any rumors of purple rebrand? I'm tired of the Chevron. Zane, I'm praying for a rebrand. I'm praying for a rebrand. That's what I want to see. Streams are a net positive to your channel every time. Appreciate it. It's we're trying. Free Riker. We need Riker back. Save him from BC. Bring him back to Newfoundland. Call Malwatch. Bring that man back. Igor's a 6'9" guard, starting point guard. Trade for Trae Young. I'm seeing a lot of Trae Young comments out there in the chat. People are interested out there in the chat. So it's lots of stuff. Some TikTok live streams. I get back on the TikTok. Hey W, I need to catch up to Nick's Digest. They've been slapping me around on the TikTok. RJ to the Wizards for Poole 6 and 18. That's crazy. Have a good night, Jack. Appreciate you. The Chevron jerseys just remind me of Gary Trent Jr. choking threes. It's crazy. But I miss you all together. But I still love you, man, dearly. Keon, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Appreciate every single one of you. I'm a striker too. I was get some good yaps. But I'm gonna try to get more guests on the channel. Do some lives. Get some more banter back and forth. So y'all can hear some pushback on my degenerate Raptors takes. But no, pool for RJ is tough. Anyways, it's 12:23 here. I got a bit of work to do tonight as well. So appreciate every single one of you tuning in. We got lots of stuff coming out here on the channel. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you want all of the latest updates regarding the Toronto Raptors team. We lost a subscriber. That's tough. People heard Riker's gone or whatever, and they lost a sub. That's how it goes. But appreciate every single one of you. You guys are the best make us far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Can't thank you guys enough. Love the community buildings, and yeah. No, AW, I've been looking into that. Trying to innovate here. Trying to get this these things going. Trade Doug Smith for Ben Rogers to TO. Doug Smith, now of Newfoundland and Labrador. Doug Smith coming out by. He's going for. Yeah, I can't talk my Newfoundland accent, and I can't talk my Newfoundland accent, not swear. It's my Newfoundland accent. I don't know if it comes out on stream. Is it noticeable? Yes or no? Does my Newfoundland accent come out on stream? Do people hear it? Or am I homogenized with a basic North American accent? Apparently when I say DeMar DeRozan, that's what people say the accent comes out on DeMar DeRozan. But that's something I live for Raptors Digest uploads. Love it. Glad I can deliver. Amp it, and I'll amp it up. We're amping it up here in the offseason. Can't close out games with Yak. Joker to Toronto would be great. No accent. No accent. It's cool. It'll come out. The more tired I get, it sneaks in there. Giannis going to be on every wall poster in Toronto. It's true. He'd be all, not just Toronto, the entire country. He'll be up on my house poster. I have no Malwatch. He played with Ulrich. Protect the rim. Yeah, Malwatch would be great. We can get Malwatch out here on the team. But anyways, folks, appreciate every single one of you. We'll get some more lives rocking and roll. We'll get some more lives rocking and roll. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.
Raptors Digest percussion ignites. From the north, we bring the might. Drawing day, full of pride. Tuning you, join the ride.
Subscribe to the Raptors Digest. It's good for you.